Hey y'all, welcome to our herd of worms. Today's video we're going to show you how we make our worm tea fertilizer. We're pretty excited to have our first product available on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below in case any of y'all want to purchase any. We'd sure appreciate your support. Alright, so it all starts with good water. We're on well water here at the farm, but if you're making tea and your water gets treated before it gets to you, I'd highly suggest picking up some distilled water or something similar. You don't want anything with chlorine in it, as that stuff is put in the water to kill off bacteria. And bacteria is exactly what we're brewing up here today. So once we got our water ready to go, we'll head over to the worm bin for some fresh casting. Personally, I just scoop up some casting, sometimes worms and all, and add it to the brew bag. I'm not aiming to get worms in there, but if some end up in the bag, they'll be alright. You can pick up these mesh bags at Lowe's or Home Depot. They're usually in the paint aisle, made to fit a 5-gallon bucket. Now we'll move over to the compost pile. I like to add a little bit of it to the mix. When it comes to making tea, the bigger variety of beneficial bacteria and microorganisms you can get, the better your finished tea will be. We try really hard to pack this tea with the most life we possibly can. This compost has been aging for several months now, and it's just loaded with all sorts of good guys that really help make your tea even better. Now we'll move on to brewing. I like to steep it a few times by hand. Shake off some of the initial stuff loose. The bacteria and microorganisms will sort of glue themselves into the castings and compost, so we'll let the air pump help us out with that. I like to lay something across the top of the bucket and clip the bag to help keep it centered in the bucket, and that helps the water to sort of swirl all around and keep everything mixed up good. Alright, moving on to the air pump. I picked this thing up on Amazon for about 20 bucks or so. It's a dual line unit. I recommend dual line because they're usually good enough to get the job done in a 5-gallon bucket. I'd stay away from the small single line air pumps. They don't really put off the minimum air to get water moving around good. I didn't use the air stones that came with it because there's no real way to clean inside of them stones, so I just zip tied some stainless steel nuts I had laying around, and that weighs down the air hose pretty good. Speaking of cleaning, it's pretty important to clean everything you use in between batches. I'm not saying you need to scrub it all down perfectly, but you definitely don't want any sludge building up on anything. That tends to harbor the bad bacteria, and you don't want that in your tea. The bubbles keep the water oxygenated and also helps dislodge all these critters from their little homes in the castings and compost. Since we're selling our tea, I like to make sure every batch is up to our standards, so throughout the brew process, I take samples and put them under the microscope. I really like to see these larger organisms in here because they wouldn't be here if the rest of the beneficial bacteria was missing. So you definitely know you got a good batch when you see these big guys show up. Once it's the way we like it, it's time to bottle it up. So as far as bottles go, the last thing we want to do is be buying a bunch of new plastic bottles and adding even more plastic to the environment. So we use recycled bottles for our worm tea. So listen, once you get this stuff bottled up and the lid put on, the clock is going to start ticking. All these microorganisms in here, they need oxygen to stay alive. That's why we never store or warehouse our worm tea. Every order we ship is made from fresh tea we brewed in the past 24 to 48 hours. We highly recommend using this stuff as soon as possible. The tea will remain a good source of fertilizer and nutrients for a long time, but the living stuff I showed you earlier, they are the true MVPs in worm tea. Get them in your soil while they're still alive and healthy. If you do that, they'll get established in your soil and start reproducing, and your plants and soil will benefit so much more. Alright y'all, I hope this video helped you guys out. If you enjoyed this, you'll probably enjoy the other content we're working on. Please like and subscribe to follow along. We'd love to have you join our herd. If you have any questions or comments or want to make suggestions for future videos, please leave those below. We read and try to reply to each and every one. Thanks for watching.